Looking for some bass sound.
You are faithful to every generation. We can trust in
Nice. You're all right. I'm doing well. We're gonna have that happen this year.
Your right hand brought us through. When we see the darkness, right, your light comes bursting through. Listen, are you, Lord our God, who has carried us to this day?
There we go.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, לילה 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 לילה. הנה מה טוב, לילה 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 לילה. It's like precious oil flowing down the middle of our own. From the top of his head to the edge of his robe. Hine ma tov. Hine ma tov u'manai, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנאי, שבטחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, לילה 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 לילה. הנה מה She's like the dew of Hermon descending upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded blessing, life forevermore. Hine matovu manai, shebetachim gam yachad. Hine matovu manai, shebetachim gam yachad. Hine matov, lai 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 lai. Hine matov, lai 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 lai.
Shot of whiskey.
Worthy is the Lamb who was slain, holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain, holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. Creation, I say, praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Golden rainbows, of living colors, flashes of lightning, rolls of thunder. Blessing and honor, strength and glory and power be to you, the only wise King. Yeah. Holy, holy, holy is awestruck wonder at the mention of your name. Jesus, your name is power, breath of living water, such a marvelous mystery. Yeah. Holy, 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 is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, and I will adore you. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. We sing holy. With all creation I sing praise to the King of Kings. You are my everything, everything I will adore you. All creation sings Adonai, via del suo misceno, Adonai, via del suo misceno, capirà, Adonai, via del suo misceno, Adonai, via del suo misceno, regala mezz'ora, Ismionai, allo, via Adonai. Regala mezz'ora, Ismionai, allo, via Adonai. Better for Tarino, vedo che Alex, better for Tarino, vedo che Alex, better for Tarino, vedo che Alex, better for Tarino, regala mano mezz'ora, mi scrivo a Tarino, mi regala andare.
Good song. Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Shabbat shalom.
Not much going on this week. Welcome everybody. Big crowd. We had got some sickness east, and not sure what's happening west, but so this will most likely be it for today. And so we decided early on today to make this an abbreviated time together. So going to just have a tiny bit of liturgy. We'll go through our Mikra Kodesh, and then Kodesh Mikra, and we will either break and have dinner and then Midrash. Anybody got any announcements? Anything cool happen over the week? Anything good? Anybody?
Got to see trainees.
With the puppies? With the
US
puppy
beat
dog?
Iran.
U.S. beat Iran in the World Cup. Outstanding.
Prison still open for Sayer tomorrow. Looks like.
Good. Awesome. Well, on that then, I'd like to welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Are you broadcasting?
Yes.
Anyone who might be listening at home, maybe Lucia, Shabbat Shalom.
Yes, he was on the way.
This will be pretty short today, but Shabbat Shalom, and I really hope you enjoyed the day with your family. So on that, if you wouldn't mind, please stand for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Vayed, Yeshua HaMoshiach, Hu Adonai. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our Elohim. Adonai is one. Blessed is the name of his glorious kingdom for all eternity. Yeshua the Messiah. He is Adonai. And for the Vayetze, if you please recite just loud enough for you and Adonai to hear. Vayetze et Adonai Eloheka b'kol lavavka uvkol nafsheka uvkol meodeka. And you shall love Adonai your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Let these matters that I command you today be upon your heart. Teach them diligently to your children, and speak of them when you sit in your home, while you walk on the way, when you retire, and when you arise. Bind them as a sign upon your arm, and let them be frontlets between your eyes. And write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates. So, if you listen carefully to my mitzvot, which I am giving you today, to love Adonai your Elohim, and serve him with all your heart and all your being, then, says Adonai, I will give your land its rain at the right seasons, including the early fall rains and the late spring rains, so that you can gather in your wheat, new wine, and olive oil. And I will give your fields grass for your livestock, with the result that you will eat and be satisfied. But be careful not to let yourselves be seduced, so that you turn aside, serving other gods and worshiping them. If you do, the anger of Adonai will blaze up against you. He will shut up the sky so that there will be no rain. The ground will not yield its produce, and you will quickly pass away from the good land Adonai is giving you. Therefore, you are to store up these words of mine in your heart and in all your being. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Bind them on your forehead as a headband. Teach them carefully to your children, talking about them when you sit at home, when you're traveling on the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. And write them on the door frames of your house and on your gates, so that you and your children will live long on the land Adonai swore to your ancestors that he would give them for as long as there is sky above the earth. Adonai said to Moshe, speak to the children of Israel, instructing them to make through all their generations tzitziot on the corners of their garments, and to put with the tzitzit on each corner a blue thread. It is to be a tzitzit for you to look at, and thereby remember all of Adonai's mitzvot and obey them, so that you won't go around wherever your own heart and eyes lead you to prostitute yourselves. But it will help you remember and obey all my mitzvot and be set apart for your Elohim. I am Adonai your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt in order to be your Elohim. I am Adonai your Elohim. All together. Emet. True. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Adonai your Elohim is true. Love your neighbor. Ve'ahavta l'reika kamoka. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Please be seated. These are our readings for the day. We obviously do not have a minion here. So what I thought we would do, if it's all right with everyone, is I'll read the Kohen and the Levite portions. And then Jim, would you mind reading the 3rd and 4th aliyot? And Denver, would you mind reading the 5th and 6th aliyot? And then Wayne, if you wouldn't mind reading the 7th and the maftir plus the haftarah.
Okay.
And then I'll read the Ketuvim Netzrim
Okay.
portions.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. And we have this thing up here, so we'll just stand where we are at the table to read. If you'd like to join me for the blessing before the Torah portion, please do so. Open my eyes that I will see wonders from your Torah. I am a ger on the earth. Hide not your mitzvot from me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bakar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Blessed are you, Adonai, our Elohim, King of the universe, who has chosen us from all peoples and has given us his Torah. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. And so the first verse in Hebrew sounds something like Vayetze Yaakov be'er shava vayalech harana.
It's probably not Bereshit 1:1.
Oh, it's probably not Bereshit 1:1, but it's pretty close.
28:10.
So starting at 28:10. Yaakov went out from Beersheba and traveled toward Haran. And he came to a certain place and stayed the night there, because the sun had set. He took a stone from that place and put it under his head and lay down there to sleep. He dreamt that night there before the ladder was resting on the ground with its top reaching to the heaven, and the angels of Adonai were going up and down on it. Then suddenly Adonai was standing there next to him and said, I am Adonai, the God of Abraham, your grandfather, and the God of Yitzhak. The land on which you are lying I will give to you and your descendants. Your descendants will be as numerous as the grains of the dust on the earth. You will expand to the west and to the east, to
to the north and to the south. By you and your descendants, all the families of the earth will be blessed. Look, I am with you. I will guard you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land, because I won't leave you until I have done what I have promised you. Yaakov awoke from his sleep and said, Truly, Adonai is in this place, and I didn't know it. Then he became afraid and said, This place is fearsome. This has to be the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Yaakov got up early in the morning and took the stone which he had put under his head and set it up as a standing stone, poured olive oil on its top, and named the place Beit El. But the town had originally been called Luz. Yaakov took this vow. If God will be with me and will guard me on this road that I am traveling, giving me bread to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return to my father's house in peace, then Adonai will be my God. And this stone which I have set up as a standing stone will be God's house, and everything you give me, I will faithfully return 1/10 to you. Continuing his journey, Yaakov came to the land. Not paying attention here. Continuing his journey, Yaakov came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in a field, and there were 3 flocks of sheep lying there next to it, because they watered the sheep from that well. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and only when the flocks had gathered there, they would roll the stone away from the opening of the well and water the sheep. Then they would put the stone back in its place on the well's opening. Yaakov said to them, My brothers, where are you from? And they answered, We are from Haran. They asked him, Do you know Laban, the grandson of Nahor? They said, We do. He asked them, Are things going well with him? Yes, they answered, and here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep. He said, Look, there's still plenty of daylight left, and it isn't time to bring the animals home, so water the sheep, then go and put them out to pasture. They answered, We can't, not until all the flocks have been gathered together and they roll the stone away from opening the well. That's when we water the sheep. While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. Yaakov went and rolled the stone away from the opening of the well and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Yaakov kissed Rachel and wept aloud. Yaakov told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rivka's son, and she ran and told her father. When Laban heard the news of Yaakov, his sister's son, he ran to meet him, hugged him and kissed him, and brought him into his house. Yaakov told Laban all that had happened. Laban said to him, You are indeed my own flesh and blood. After Yaakov had stayed with him for a whole month, Laban said to him, Why should you work for me for nothing, just because you're my relative? Tell me how much I should pay you. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah. The name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was good-looking with beautiful features. Yaakov had fallen in love with Rachel and said, I will work for you 7... Oh, I'm sorry. Number 3. Yeah. Sorry, Jim. Sorry. Got on a roll.
So his answer was, I will work for you for 7 years in exchange for your younger daughter, Rachel. Laban replied, It is better for me to give her to you than to a stranger. Stay with me. So Jacob worked for 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him like a few days because he loved her so much. When Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, for my time is up, and I should like to go to her. Laban gathered all the people of the place together and gave a banquet. But when night came, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he slept with her. Laban gave his slave girl Zilpah to his daughter Leah as her slave. When morning came, it was Leah. So Jacob said to Laban, What have you done to me? Did I not work for you for Rachel? Why then have you tricked me? Laban replied, It is not the custom of our place to marry off the younger before the elder. Finish this marriage week, and I shall give you the other one too in return for your work for me for another 7 years. Jacob agreed. Where am I going to?
13.
Jacob agreed. When he had finished the week, Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as his wife. Laban gave his slave girl Bilhah to his daughter Rachel for her slave. So Jacob slept with Rachel too, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He worked for Laban for another 7 years. When Yahweh saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, while Rachel remained barren. Leah conceived and gave birth to a son whom she named Reuben, meaning Yahweh has been my misery, or has seen my misery. And she said, now my husband will love me. Conceiving again, she gave birth to a son and said, Yahweh has heard that I was unloved, and so he has given me this one too. And she named him Simeon. Again, she conceived and gave birth to a son and said, this time my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Accordingly, she named him Levi. Again, she conceived and gave birth to a son and said, now I shall praise Yahweh. Accordingly, she named him Judah. Then she had no more children. Rachel, seeing that she herself gave Jacob no children, became jealous of her sister. And she said to Jacob, give me children or I shall die. This made Jacob angry with Rachel, and he retorted, am I in the position of God who has denied you motherhood? So she said, here's my slave girl, Bilhah. Sleep with her and let her give birth on her knee. Through her, then, I too shall have children. She gave him her slave girl, Bilhah, as concubine. Jacob slept with her, and Bilhah conceived and gave birth to a son by Jacob. Then Rachel said, God has done me justice. Yes, he has heard my prayer and given me a son. Accordingly, she named him Dan. Again, Rachel's slave girl Bilhah conceived and gave birth to a second son by Jacob. Then Rachel said, I have fought a faithful battle with my sister, and I have won. So she named him Naphtali. Now Leah, seeing that she had ceased to bear children, took her slave girl Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a concubine. So Leah's slave girl Zilpah gave birth to a son by Jacob. Then Leah exclaimed, what good fortune! So she named him Gad. Leah's slave girl Zilpah gave birth to a second son by Jacob. Then Leah said, what blessedness! Women will call me blessed. So she named him Asher. One day at the time of the wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. Leah replied, is it not enough to have taken my husband without your taking my son's mandrakes as well? So Rachel said, very well. He can sleep with you tonight in return for your son's mandrakes. When Jacob came back from the fields that night, Leah went out to meet him and said, you must come to me, for I have hired you at the price of my son's mandrakes. So he slept with her that night. God heard Leah, and she conceived and gave birth to a 5th son by Jacob. Then Leah said, God has given me my reward for giving my slave girl to my husband. So she named him Issachar. Again, Leah conceived and gave birth to a 6th son by Jacob and said, God has given me a fine gift. Now my husband will bring me presents, for I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun. Later she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel and heard her voice and opened her womb. She conceived and gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph, saying, may Yahweh add another son for me. When Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, release me and let me go home to my country. Give me my wives for whom I have worked for you, and my children, and let me go. You are well aware how long I have worked for you. Laban replied, if I have done what pleases you, I have learnt by divination that Yahweh has blessed me because of you.
Name your wages, he said. I will pay them. Yaakov replied, you know how faithfully I have served you and how your livestock have prospered under my care. The few you had before I came have increased substantially. Adonai has blessed you wherever I went. But now, when will I provide for my own household? Laban said, what should I give you? Nothing, answered Yaakov. Just do this one thing for me. Once more I will pasture your flock and take care of it. I will also go through the flock and pick out every speckled, spotted, or brown sheep, and every speckled or spotted goat. These and their offspring will be my wages. And I will let my integrity stand as a witness against me in the future. When you come to look over the animals constituting my wages, every goat that isn't speckled or spotted and every sheep that isn't brown will count as stolen by me. Laban replied, as you have said, so let it be. That day, Laban removed the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled or spotted, and every one with white on it, and all the brown sheep, turned them over to his sons, and put 3 days' distance between himself and Yaakov. Yaakov fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Yaakov took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and made white streaks on them by peeling off the bark. Then he set the rods he had peeled upright in the watering troughs, so that the animals would see them when they came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the animals mated in the sight of the rods and gave birth to streaked, speckled, and spotted young. Yaakov divided the lambs and had the animals mate with the streaked and the brown in the flock of Laban. He also kept his own livestock separate and did not have them mixed with Laban's flock. Whenever the hardier animals came into heat, Yaakov would set up the rods at the watering troughs so that the animals would see them and conceive in front of them. But he didn't set up the rods in front of the weaker animals. Thus the more feeble were Laban's and the stronger Yaakov's. In this way, the man became very rich and had large flocks, along with male and female servants, camels and donkeys. But when he heard what Laban's sons were saying, Yaakov has taken away everything that our father once had. It's from what used to belong to our father that he has gotten so rich. He also saw that Laban regarded him differently than before. Adonai said to Yaakov, return to the land of your ancestors, to your kinsmen. I will be with you. So Yaakov sent for Rachel and Leah and had them come to the field where his flock was. He said to them, I see by the way your father looks that he feels differently toward me than before. But the Elohim of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, and that your father has belittled me and changed my wages 10 times. But Elohim did not allow him to do me any damage. If he said, the speckled will be your wages, then all the animals gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, the streaked will be your wages, then all the animals gave birth to streaked young. This is how Elohim has taken away your father's animals and given them to me. Once, when the animals were mating, I had a dream. I looked up, and there in front of me, the male goats which mated with the females were streaked, speckled, and mottled. Then in the dream, the angel of Elohim said to me, Yaakov. And I replied, here am I. He continued, raise your eyes now and look. All the male goats mating with the females are streaked, speckled, and mottled. For I have seen everything Laban has been doing to you. I am the Elohim of Bet El, where you anointed a standing stone with oil, where you vowed your vow to me. Now get up, get out of this land, and return to the land where you were born. Rachel and Leah answered him, We no longer have any inheritance from our father's possessions, and he considers us foreigners since he has sold us. Moreover, he has consumed everything he received in exchange for us. Nevertheless, the wealth which Elohim has taken away from our father has become ours and our children's anyway. So whatever Elohim has told you to do, do. Then Yaakov got up and put his sons and wives on camels and carried off all his livestock along with all the riches he had accumulated.
the livestock in his possession which he had acquired in Padan Aram, to go to Yitzhak, his father, in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, so Rachel stole the household idols that belonged to her father. And Yaakov outwitted Laban the Aramite by not telling him of his intended flight. So he fled with everything he had. He departed, crossed the Euphrates River, and set out for the hill country of Gilead. Not until the third day was Laban told that Yaakov had fled. Laban took his kinsmen with him and spent the next 7 days pursuing Yaakov, overtaking him in the hill country of Gilead. But Elohim came to Laban the Aramite in a dream that night and said to him, "Be careful that you don't say anything to Yaakov, either good or bad." When Laban caught up with Yaakov, Yaakov had set up camp in the hill country. So Laban and his kinsmen set up camp in the hill country of Gilead. Laban said to Yaakov, "What do you mean by deceiving me and carrying off my daughters as if they were captives taken in war? Why did you flee in secret and deceive me and not tell me? I would have sent you off with joy and singing to the music of tambourines and lyres. You didn't even let me kiss my sons and daughters goodbye. What a stupid thing to do. I have it in my power to do you harm. But the Elohim of your father spoke to me last night and said, 'Be careful that you don't say anything to Yaakov, either good or bad.' Granted that you had to leave because you longed so deeply for your father's house, but why did you steal my idols?" Yaakov answered Laban, "Because I was afraid, I said, 'Suppose you take your daughters away from me by force.' But if you find your idols with someone, that person will not remain alive. So with our kinsmen to witness, if you spot anything that I have which belongs to you, take it back." Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen the idols. Laban went into Yaakov's tent, then into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 slave girls, but he did not find them. He left Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols and put them in the saddle of the camel and was sitting on them. Laban felt all around the tent, but he did not find them. She said to her father, "Please don't be angry that I'm not getting up in your presence, but it's my time of the month." So he searched, but he didn't find the household idols. Then Yaakov became angry and started arguing with Laban. "What have I done wrong?" he demanded. "What is my offense that you have come after me in hot pursuit? You have searched all my stuff, but have you found all of your household goods? Put it here in front of my kinsmen and yours, so that they can render judgment between the 2 of us. I have been with you for these 20 years. Your female sheep and goats haven't aborted their young, and I haven't eaten the male animals in your flocks. If one of your flock was destroyed by a wild animal, I didn't bring the carcass to you, but bore the loss on myself. You demanded that I compensate you for any animal stolen, whether by day or by night. Here's how it was for me. During the day, thirst consumed me, and at night the cold. My sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I've been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flock, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the Elohim of my father, the Elohim of Abraham, the one whom Yitzhak fears, had not been on my side, by now you would certainly already have sent me away with nothing. Elohim has seen how distressed I've been and how hard I've worked, and last night he passed judgment in my favor."
Laban then responded by saying to Jacob, "The daughters are my daughters, and the sons are my sons, and the flocks are my flocks. Everything that you see is really mine. But as for my daughters, what can I do? What can I now do about them, or the sons that they have borne? So now, come, let us make a pact, you and I, and let it be a witness between us." Jacob then took a stone and raised it up as a monument. And Jacob said to his kin, "Gather stones." And they took stones and made a mound. They then ate there by the mound. Laban called it Igar Sahadutha, while Jacob called it Galeed. Laban said, "This mound is a witness between us today." Therefore he, Jacob, had named it Galeed. And this is the mitzvah about which he, Laban, said, "May the Eternal keep watch between you and me when we are hidden one from the other. Should you mistreat my daughters or take wives in addition to my daughters, though no one else is with us, consider, God is witness between you and me. Then Laban said additionally to Jacob, behold this mound, and behold this monument that I have raised between us. This mound is a witness, the monument is a witness, but I shall never pass this mound towards you, intending harm, and that you shall never pass this mound and this monument toward me, intending harm. Let both the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of each one's father, judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Jacob then offered a sacrifice by the mountain, inviting his kin to eat bread. They ate bread and stayed the night by the mountain. In the morning, Laban got up early, kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. Then he went home, so Laban returned to his place. Now Jacob went on his way, and angels of God met him. And when he saw them, Jacob said, this is the camp of God. So he named the place Machanaim. Maftir. In the morning, Laban got up early, kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. Then he went home. So Laban returned to his place. Now Jacob went on his way, and angels of God met him. Then, and when he saw them, Jacob said, this is the camp of God. So he named that place Machanaim. And thus ends the reading of the Torah. Join for the blessing after reading the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chei olam nata b'tochenu. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, has given us the Torah of truth, upon everlasting life in our midst. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. Amen. All right, so our Haftorah is from the prophet Hosea. And there's a versification difference in this. It's 12 verse 12, I think, in some translations, 12 verse 13 in traditional Jewish text. Yeah. So we're going for the blessing before reading the Haftorah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bakar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratzah b'Abraham hagmarim be'emet. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, has chosen good prophets and pleased with their words they spoke in truth. Baruch atah Adonai haboker b'Torah u'Moshe, Agov Israel, Amo Navieh ha'emet v'tzedek. Blessed are you, Adonai, who chose Torah and Moshe, serving Israel, his people, and prophets of truth and righteousness. So in Hosea chapter 12. Jacob fled to the land of Aram. Israel served for a wife, and for a wife he kept watch of sheep. By a prophet the Eternal brought Israel up from Egypt, and by a prophet they were watched. Ephraim caused bitter anger, and because of this, blood guilt, his sovereign abandoned him, and paid him back for his scorn. When Ephraim spoke with trembling, he was lifted up in Israel. But through Baal he incurred guilt and died. They add sin to sin, making for themselves molten images, skillfully making idols, the work of artisans throughout. They speak to them, to images of calves which people sacrifice. They offer kisses. Therefore they shall be like the morning cloud, like the dew so quickly gone, like straw driven as by a storm from a threshing floor, like smoke out of a hole in the wall. Yet I, the Eternal, have been your God ever since the land of Egypt. You have known no real God but me. There is no Savior besides me. I knew you in the wilderness, in a land of blazing heat. When you grazed and were sated, you grew proud, and therefore you forgot me. So I have become like a lion to you, like a leopard lurking near the road. Like a bear robbed of its cubs, I will meet you and tear away the casing of your heart. Like a lion, I will devour you. Wild beasts shall tear you to pieces. You are done for, Israel. Who can help you? For who can help you? Where then is your king? Let him save you. in all your towns? Where are your leaders of your towns, for whom you asked, saying, give me a king, give me leaders? In my wrath I gave you a king. In my fury I removed him. Ephraim's iniquity is stored up. His sin is preserved. Birth pains came for him, but he is an unwise babe. For when the time comes, he is not present himself at the birthplace. He does not present himself at the birthplace of babes. I'll redeem them from the grave. I will save them from death. Where are your plagues, O death? Where is your pestilence, O grave? Vengeance shall be hidden from my eyes, for he only among the reeds shall be fruitful. An east wind shall come, a divine wind up from the wilderness. So his fountain shall dry up, and his spring shall be parched. It shall pillage treasures, every choice thing. Samaria must bear her guilt, for she has rebelled against her God. They will fall to their sword, their little ones dashed in pieces, their women with child ripped open. Return, O Israel, to the eternal your God, for you have stumbled in your iniquity. Take words with you and return to the eternal, and say, forgive all iniquity, and accept the good. We offer the fruit of our lips. Assyria cannot save us. We shall ride on horses no more. Never again shall we say, our God, to the works of our hands. For in you alone the orphan finds compassion. I will heal their disloyalty. I will love them freely, for my wrath is turned away from them. I will be like dew to Israel. They shall blossom like a lily and strike roots like the trees of Lebanon. Their shoots shall spread out wide, their splendor like an olive tree's, their fragrance like that of Lebanon. Those who sit in their shade shall return to me. They shall grow their corn and blossom like a vine, renowned as the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim shall say, what are idols to me now? I will respond and look to him. For I am a luxuriant cypress, from which your fruit is found. The wise shall understand these things. The discerning shall know them. That straight are the ways of the eternal, while the righteous walk in them. Transgressors stumble on them.
Now we'll read the Ketuvim Netzrim. If you'd like to join me for that lesson, please feel free to do so. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu et derech haYeshua, Ymashiach Yeshua, et sifrei Ketuvim Netzrim l'kol ha'amim. Blessed are you, Adonai, our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us the way of salvation, the Messiah Yeshua, and the books of the Nazarene writings to all peoples. Baruch atah Adonai noten Yeshua, Yeshua HaMashiach. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of salvation in Yeshua, the Messiah. It's John chapter 1, verses 41 to 51. The first thing he did was to find his brother Shimon and tell him, we have found the Mashiach. The word means one has been anointed. He took him to Yeshua. Looking at him, Yeshua said, you are Shimon bar Yochanan. You will be known as Kepha. That name means rock. The next day, having decided to leave for Galilee, Yeshua found Philip and said, follow me. Philip was from Vayetze, the town where Andrew and Kepha lived. Philip found Nathanael and told him, we found the one that Moshe wrote about in the Torah, also the prophets. It is Yeshua ben Yosef from Nazareth. Nathanael answered him, Nazareth, can anything good come from there? Come and see, Philip said to him. Yeshua saw Nathanael coming toward him and remarked about him, here's a true son of Israel. Nothing false in him. Nathanael said to him, how do you know me? Yeshua answered him, before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. Nathanael said, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel.
Yeshua answered him, You believe all this just because I told you I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than that. Then he said to him, Yes, indeed. I tell you that you will see heaven open and the angels of God going up and coming down on the Son of Man. That ends our reading. So would you like to move right into Midrash, or would you like to break and have dinner? Break and have dinner. If you'd like to join me for the blessing, please do so. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'echol niyeh bidvaro. Blessed are you, Adonai, our Elohim, King of the universe, who creates all things through his word. Amen and amen.
Kids first.
Ladies first. I would just not feedback on it. Oh, good.
Yeah.